Hello! Welcome! Is everything still working? Hello, hello. Yes, okay. I had some weird shit happened after last night. Had a random power spike, which hasn't happened in a while, and it nearly just killed my gaming PC and such, so hopefully everything's going to be working. Hopefully everything's still functioning. I managed to get it to boot back up and get back into safety, and I'm running games right now, so it should be fine, but we'll see. All right. It's because I'm in the wrong scene. It's like, what the heck's going on? El Gato. Thank you, El Gato. Hold on. So there was something that went wrong. Somehow. All right, give me 2 seconds, chat. Sudden hidden sponsor. Welcome, everybody. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astropub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. I'm still updating 4.9 for whatever reason. I had some, again, technical issues updating. I've been having more issues updating live in the last year than I've had in any of the previous years. That includes the times when we had to like completely re-download the game every patch. There we go. Just trying to fix it so it doesn't screw up too much. So how's everyone doing? Doing well. That's good. So the theme for today is Themepark versus Sandbox. That's the thing we're going to be talking about. We're gonna have Citizen Deedsy and HC Vertigo come on and talk about this. The big discussion, which is it's been going on recently, and it's definitely something I want to talk about because a lot of folks I know are of the opinion for one or the other. I personally think there can be a balance, but I do think that there is a discussion on what CIG is prioritizing and why. One of the biggest issues that I think is happening right now is this attempt to do both at the same time because it breaks the theme park. Because the theme park has to be based off the systems themselves that exist. And if you don't have the systems in place, then every time you change those systems, it breaks the theme park. Thus, you're putting a lot of effort and time into systems or into content that just doesn't work. All right, so the definition of sandbox versus theme park. It's gonna vary from person to person because you can have sandbox elements, but the definition of a sandbox, from my experience and from what I can see online, is like I've said on the Discord, we had this discussion, was it's really not sandbox versus theme park, it's systems versus content. So systems means the fundamental gameplay loops that you implement are the thing that drives the gameplay. A classic example of this is, I would say, I said Minecraft in the past, but I think Minecraft is a classic example. I'm gonna let the shaders update before we go in. And like locations and looting is part of the systems. Rust is a good example of this as well. Every map of Rust has the same locations, but not in the same places on the map. They'll have things like recycling centers and trade centers and like fishing towns, but they're all the exact same and they do the exact same thing in each map, but they can create content, but by their very nature, they're part of the systems. Because in order to get certain elements, certain things, like you have to go to a recycler in Rust. So while someone would say, "Oh, that's content," it's not. It's actually part of the systems in the loop, and it creates content or creates gameplay because people can camp those locations, they can take them over, they drive people together. So Hathor is an example of systems in the sense that it drives people because some of the only elements you can receive are at Hathor. Yeah, there's gameplay in the sense that or content in the sense that you have to kind of go to those locations, but it, as it of itself, doesn't require a mission, it doesn't have a storyline, it's simply just you have to activate these systems to access the location. That's the reason why so many people call it Sandbox, because it kind of is a sandbox. Who's the special guest on today's table? We've got Susan Deedsy and HC Vertigo. But yeah, Hathor is one that people point out a lot because it is a great example of that systems versus content balance. Because there are missions that will take you to Hathor because they're using the location to help flesh out the content. The problem with the terms is that people use them as proxies to attack other people and paint themselves as real or pure fans. That is one of the problems, which is why I think it's important to have a conversation about it. The reality is that Star Citizen needs both. It is not a sandbox game. It is never going to be a pure sandbox game. It's also not a theme park. It can never be a pure theme park game. It's very similar to the arcade versus sim discussion that you'll have in Star Citizen, where people are like, "Oh, you want an arcade game? You want Star Fox? What a pathetic little baby you are. I require the man's treatment. It's not a game to me unless I'm actually having to memorize the manual to start up my ship." It's because it's easier to fight each other than it is to fight CIG, or it is easier to lash out at CIG about perceived concepts. Then the conversation is always weird because make sure I'm not on 410 on accident. I don't think I am, so I'm good. Oh yeah, let's actually mount up. The helmet, good. Gotta go back to my roots. I should probably go back to my roots and see if I can do anything with that. But for now... I think the discussion should be twofold. What we're going to have today is what should Star Citizen favor, Sandbox or Theme Park? Because we know that both of them are going to be there. It's just you can't get away from content. Just because it has theme park elements doesn't mean it's full theme park, despite what people want to believe. Ooh. No, it ruined it. Damn, okay. So yeah, basically all the upgraded weapons are just gone. They just reset them. Holy fuck. Attachment system, so I have to go get some attachments here. That's a lot of fucking fire extinguishers suddenly. All right. I think that's good for now. I actually do have this stuff. Okay. This is my ArcCorp tool, right? So yeah, so this will be my tractor beam. Okay, I just lost the tractor beam for some reason. Okay, that's fine. Oh, there it is, true hold. Sends me back there. Interesting. All right, let's go buy some stuff real quick before we head out. No, the info doesn't show equip it, and the stats will show it. Oh, okay. Server's struggling. Yeah, okay, it does. Okay, perfect. This will be my medical. Just have to get the medical gel. Oh no, this is medical. This is perfect. I have to walk away. I feel Star Citizen should lean more towards the theme park for your beginning to the intermediate players and more towards sandbox aspect for more established players. That way people start to have a sense of direction and opportunity to explore a variety of content, but once players get sufficiently comfortable with the verse, they can pivot to more freeform activities based off of old style. I agree. I think to add a caveat to that though, I think what should likely be better is to build the theme park off of sandbox elements. It A, requires less, that way you're not doing double work, and B, you're teaching players how to do the sandbox in an environment that they don't have to deal with the sandbox bullshit. Let me go get medical stuff over here. Not having to reset up ships every patch is a huge win for CIG and the scanning update. Yeah, no, this is a big update. This is a big improvement. But I don't know if the stability is there yet. I think we haven't even returned to the beginning of the year in terms of stability. But it's better. It's just as I think I pointed out, is like, don't expect this to be perfect for 4.9 for forever. It's going to take some time before before they're actually like doing Microtech's now medical. Look at that. I just need my salvage and mining and we're good to go. I mean, endgame stuff should feel like it should always be endgame PvE should always feel like theme park stuff. I don't know. I can't say how good it feels to reclaim my saved loadouts for ships I've been. Yeah, I mean that's great. The fact that you can like just call back your claimed stuff and you're good to go is kind of amazing. See if I've got yellow. I'm sure that's gonna be. I'm gonna leave that for mining. So let me do that real quick. Okay. I'm not gonna carry all of these with me. I'm just trying to color code them a little bit. fix it. All right. So now I have all of this done. I'm going to put the multi-tool. I'll keep the multi-tool on me because it's cheap, and same with this. I'm gonna leave this as my. I'll leave this as my main one. One here. Just need to get the cambio. Oh no, I actually have that, don't I? And ammo? I do. Perfect. Need to take this to the I'm gonna go down and get some stuff, then I'll take this to the warehouse and drop them off. What CIG should do is a tick-tock approach. New stuff in the patch, tick, and then clean up addressing patch, talk kind of setup. I agree. It's something that I've been promoting or been asking for years. This is gonna sound weird, but like, yeah, no, it's been years since I've wanted them to do when they were doing a quarter patch, 1 quarter content, 1 quarter cleanup, 1 quarter content, 1 quarter cleanup. And I do think that CIG is learning what a lot of developers are learning now, which is that there is actually some merit to like, players want content, but they also want fixes, modifications, because modifications themselves are fixes, or like will bring people back, because people play the game and then they're like, well, they need to balance this, or they need to do that.
Hi, thanks for coming in. Let me get that for you. Get that for you.
Hey. Weapons, sidearms. Weapons, attachments. I'm gonna have to get more attachments here. And I get, it was the gamma 2 times. Gamma purchase.
Sounds good. Be ready in a moment.
Let's see.
Sounds
And
good.
do something
Be
stupid
ready
with
in a
that.
moment.
Compensator 2, I think, is actually pretty good.
Coming right up.
There we go. Good to go. Oh, grenades.
Sure thing.
They're sort of doing it bricked. People complained, then people complained that they don't get money. Game not made. Yeah, that's
Sure
it's this the crazy part is that
Coming right up.
You would think that CAG would recognize the pattern and
Sounds good. Be ready in a
adjust so that they have a better chance at like improving the overall experience. But it seems like they just get caught in these
Sounds
loops
good. Be ready in a moment.
and then go back to bad habits. No plasma grenade. I'm gonna have to go to figure out where my typical arms and legs are. They're not here, so. Hot take here, I kind of like theme parks. Theme parks aren't bad. Theme parks are just, from my perspective right now, theme parks are costly. They take a lot of time and effort to build, and they break very easily without constant support. And they get very boring after you've done them a couple of times. So it's more about what can you do to improve the replayability of the game? And the answer is Sandbox. Sandboxes have just longer lifespans because there's more you can do to them. The sandbox elements of Skyrim are the reason why Skyrim is so replayable for people. It's not that the game itself is replayable, it's that the experience can be modded into whatever you want because it already has the sandbox layout. Let's do this. My other solid choice. And that right now, what CIG should be focusing on is things that would take the pressure off of them. And the thing that would take the pressure off of them is Sandbox. All right, so you're gonna stay here. You're gonna be here.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
Never.
ever
Ever.
take away my space game.
M4Veric_69 just resubscribed for 15 months. Pop capsule to infinity and beyond.
Thank you so much for that 15 months of support there. Maverick, you're very important. Papa Vampus was very mean pedestrian. You rock. Shouts and cheers in chat. Y'all shouts and cheers. I'm looking at the chat now. Sorry. That. I feel PvP content will always feel like a theme park unless the content influences a dynamic direction in the verse. Minecraft is a single player game that is a sandbox. You can play Minecraft as a single player, and it has various levels of enemies with PvE content and locations which can scale up, all the time. The thing about PvE is that it doesn't have to be theme park. It can be sandbox. You just need to like make the enemies dynamic. You need, like, basically they need to be their own loop. The game needs both. Why doesn't CIG focus on systems to make the Sandbox stuff integrate more? It'd be more. It would be way less work. Just social tools and player trading would be huge. I mean, yeah, things like those two would help. Like an example of and I've used this and I will continue to bang the drum until CIG does something like this. We have in Stanton convention centers which are not used year-round. They're still in the game. The files are still there. You can still get to them if you manage to clip them, and you can see people running around inside these convention centers. So there's still assets being used in the game, but they don't have any purpose. If you turn those convention centers into player markets, and if you want to make them unique, you can just have the player markets move. So it's like 1 week it's here, 1 week it's another place, or make them only happen on weekends, so people have to log in on weekends or happen on a specific day. Then you would have these markets which you could go to and promote your stuff, and players can go to those locations and promote their goods.
The capsule will be leaving the station momentarily.
Though I've said a little bit beyond that, also make it so that those locations are places where you can sell specific goods which you typically cannot sell. So things that have no value have value at the flea market and have a higher value in general, so you can go there and sell your goods. Citizens Farmers Market, you say? I mean, and all that CIG has to do is set up the infrastructure for that. And when they set up the infrastructure for that, it wouldn't be that much different than them setting up a structure for something similar in the future for player markets. What you need to do is set up a one Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the Astro Pub. Your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? We're talking about Themepark versus Sandbox, which is the sort of topic for this Captain's Table that's coming up. I feel like it's coming back more because of the doldrums. Because that's the other thing, is that these doldrums, like next year in the summer, if CIG focuses on sandbox gameplay, to like really up their sandbox elements, refining, maybe not base building, but you know, something like that. Player trading. If they had like refining and player trading, and they worked on those loops between January and May of next year, then July would not have much of a problem, because people could just say, hey, I'm working towards X. I need this or that. And it would allow players to focus on things that they can set their own goals for, rather than just do whatever the latest theme park attraction is. Yeah, but when the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists. You don't know that. Okay, let me check out the max real quick. Let's look at the XL1. What is this? Are these radars? Oh, they're radars. Huh. Alrighty, Moto. You Better not disappear on Miyamoto. This has got to be it's Sakura-san. It's like Emoto's got to be Sakura-san. I'm like, wait, of course it's Sakura-san. It literally said it in there. You must have Emoto, that's the law. Basically, focusing on social tools and economic systems would buy them all the time in the world. It would buy them more time. That doesn't mean they don't have to work on those gameplay loops, but people, if those aren't gameplay loops, those like theme park rides, those events, the raids, the dungeons, and stuff like that. It's just that if those raids or dungeons break, there won't be as much pressure on them to continue to maintain that. People would complain about it, but people could always go back to doing sandbox activities as long as those theme park events were not mandatory for sandbox activities. Next thing the MFR is going to ask for is persistence that doesn't delete all crafted items every patch. Did you check to see if it was deleted? Because one of the things that I saw, Iris, recently was that it looked like it had my crafted item, but it was not crafted. Like it like deleted the upgrades. But then when I equipped it, it showed all of those all of the stats. Stupid, but I'm gonna. They changed the HUD a little bit. Well, I have auto mod on. That's a little bit intense. It was one of the requirements when during Pride Month, when they're still doing Pride Month activities and at Twitch. I was part of the rotating Pride Month contributors, and one of the requirements they had was you had to have auto mod on and to a certain like level, and I've just never turned it off. It doesn't really matter that much. It hasn't caught the kind of things that people seem to think. Where is Emoto? Where's my Emoto? He's not on the dashboard. Oh, there he is. What's up, little guy? What's up, dude? Looking at me. The little thing.
Hello, how can Miss help you today? Systems on. Weapon systems on. Weapon system off.
Yeah, it's the best. It's a good example of what subscriber flare should be. It seems to be 50-50. I kept my P4, but my FS9 is missing its stats. Did you equip it and to double check it? My Heroes account lost her cool P8. That sucks. But see, that's my point. If CIG focused on that sort of thing, so that crafted weapons persisted, that focused on increasing crafting. Hell, they could probably do ship crafting in not too far, but you need to like normally you need a vehicle, but like a building or a ship to do ship crafting, you just need to have like a space where you can go to craft your ships. Like you go to Wicklow, and Wicklow's like, hey, pay me some money and I'll give you access to my crafter. And you go to like a different room and you put in your materials, and then out pops your ship. That'd be a great testing range, is to use Wicklow as like a, hey, I got all these fucking crazy cool things. You should, we should use those. You could use those to, for your own advantage. Maybe not even like pay him, but just have the reputation for him. I encourage CIG to look at Lancer, a TTRPG, or how widespread advanced 3D printing tech might affect a universe. All right, I'm gonna see if I can't do.
Shield on. Shield off.
Oh, I'm gonna do the Dead Saints. I'm gonna try to run the Dead Saints. I have to try Lancer. I'm gonna try to go back to the TTRPG stuff in the summers, during the summers. Does Emoto have sounds? Because I haven't heard sounds. He's locking the fuck in though right now. She's like, We're gonna get ship rewards from Recco and 410. That's fine, but we've had ship rewards for a while. I don't mean ship rewards, I mean ship crafting. The difference between ship crafting and ship rewards is that ship crafting allows you to produce your own ships. So you can not have to rely on the systems in place for, you know, or the systems in place, like the sandbox elements, I was fucking that up. The theme park elements, where like you have to go to a location, get the things, and then go like put stuff in, and out pops a ship. Like that's kind of sandboxy, but it allows for players who are not directly combat oriented to still be able to do stuff. Hey, Oscar do. Oh yeah, no, Emoto should definitely make little noises, but he had sounds before, so he just doesn't have it anymore. Yeah. Or just bad game mechanics. Oh, you're talking about Lancer. Being part of an org would allow me to have activities aligned in mind, but social tools like looking for a group would be more advantageous for me since my schedule is often very restrictive. Yeah, and that's like aligned Hathor, which I think we all just started calling Hathor because it's Hathor. Fuck you, CIG. It's not aligned in mind. It's Hathor because it's at Hathor. Fuck yeah, lore. But Hathor should be more available to other people. People should be able to find ad hoc mining groups to go deal with to get to the place and do the thing, like, you know, with group gameplay. Of course, I'm just abandon their ship there. And here too. Fucking assholes. If you're gonna abandon your ship, abandon it off the pad. You can abandon it next to the pad and leave the pad open for other people to use it to refuel. Jerks.
Landing gear down. Landing successful. Engines off.
I mean, the basic thing is that anything that's landed there that doesn't have ownership should be cleaned up.
Engines on. Launch sequence complete.
Supposedly they changed the cleanup to 5 hours at major landing zones. It's not the major landing zones that's really the issue. It's the it's those like random outposts and space stations. Okay, so I gotta go to like ArcCorp, right? Oh no, it's always at Hurston.
Shield off. Bottom travel engaged. Landing gear up.
There is a random Hornet that was sort of in my Levski hangar when I was doing my review, my first impressions of the Basher. It was in my, I gotta edit that and put that up. I'll probably do that after tonight. But that random Hornet on Thursday was still in my hangar on today when I logged in. But if I tried to set up a home inside my hangar, it would get deleted in seconds. Which is crazy because my ship still despawns while I'm exiting at Levski, while there are other ships that are on the pads that have been there for like days. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Paul, do we need a Gray's midside hauler? Yes, of course. I mean, sure. CIG can make ships for pretty much anything.
Quantum fuel at 75%.
I will say with Grays, though, one of the things that I think I really need CIG to start doing, and they're not going to because they sell everything, is they need to start putting ships into the game that you can, that just you don't buy. Like, the Basher should have just been added to the game. It shouldn't have been sold. It should have just been added to the game. I know CIG just sells everything, but like they gotta get out of that habit. Because when you just add a ship to the game and don't make it purchasable, it puts the pressure off the ship to be the best thing ever, and you'll get a lot less scrutiny on it. And it makes a little bit more sense for it to be in the game that you can earn or use, but like people are gonna be like, oh yeah, it's kind of shit, but it's fine. On top of that, it will increase engagement. When we put the ICTI in, that counts. Well, the ICTI is the only reason why they did that was because they got lashback from the ATLS. The lashback from the ATLS was so high that they did something they have never done before, which is make available a vehicle literally the next patch after it was launched, after it was sold. They've never done that before. And the ICTI was like a patch after that when they added the ICTI. The Geo, I think they sold, but I think it was also available like the next patch as well. I think we should be able to sell NPC ships. Absolutely. We definitely need a scrap shop. We need to be able to go to again, CIG's not listening to me, but they actually still have good relations with people like fucking Wookiee. But have Wookiee. Hold on. Seems weird. Am I coupled? I am. Okay. land and then set my spawn here. And then, let's see if I can't do the Mikan. Get a Mikan. Have Wookiee run Brios as a mission giver, and he's kind of like a Wicklow, where you go to him with ships that you find that are not yours, and he'll pay you top dollar. But I mean by bottom dollar for those ships. And he, he'll send you missions like, hey, I need this specific ship for this specific purpose. Like, I need 5 Gladiuses. I don't care where you get them, 5 Gladiuses. That also give eventually missions for people to grind out ship construction, so that people can make ships and then sell them to these dealers, and they can make really cheap versions of the ship, so they can actually get money from it and get reputation. Not just the SRV, but it also means engineering. So you could actually board a derelict ship that you shot to pieces, repair the parts you can, and then fly it to the location. You have more people. And I like that idea too, Robert Voss. Where like the only place you can get a Gray's Market ships are at these strip stations, or at these scrapyards, because they're the ones who have access to Gray's internal marketing. Later, Brian. Thanks for hanging out, bud.
Engines on. Quantum fuel at 100%.
Just want to see if I can get the... All right. But back to talking about Sandbox versus Themepark. Like, that sort of thing is sort of a sandbox. It's one of those things where it's like sandbox elements. Where it's part of the systems that you can add to it. It's not like necessarily, because you could probably just like drop off stuff there and be like, yeah, sure, we'll pay you this much money for it.
At Kelto RX, medicine isn't only about healing. It's about being your best.
Attention, emergency staff. Got an accident inbound. It's a pretty big one, so team stand by.
Just relax. Everyone here at Kelto RX is going to take great care of you. Feeling better? What better way to celebrate? Why should healthcare be a hassle? Recently ranked 5th in patient wait times. School treats everyone loves. Choose Kelto RX.
South Hall. Cleanup team down in the South Hall.
I'm gonna head to the cargo deck and buy one more. Sandbox versus theme park equals more world runs on player rules, the more sandbox. The more developer rules, the more theme park. Not necessarily. Like I said before, it's really more about systems versus content. The more players have the freedom to make their own gameplay is sandbox. The more the players have to rely on content produced by the developers is more theme park. And theme park has its place. They don't have that here, do they? Huh. That's a good response. But it's not like players get to control the verse in a sandbox. Yeah, Star Citizen has always been a hybrid. The discussion is more about what balance should there be and what should CIG focus on. Because I think one of the major flaws that Star Citizen has is that because CIG focuses solely on, not solely, but mainly on content, they make a theme park aspects for the players, which is fine. But when you focus on that, you lose sight of it's much more difficult to consistently much more difficult to consistently release content that people can enjoy, and there's more pressure on maintaining that content long term. You know, how people complain about how this content that they added 2 patches ago is broken and they don't care, they're not fixing it because they're focusing on the next content they're working on instead of building out content and making it matter and making it like connect with the systems that they already have built to reinforce that gameplay or to experiment with that gameplay. And then when it breaks, they have a little bit more of a chance to like, oh yeah, no, we can fix X, Y, or Z because we're just working on making sure that we can get the next, sandbox element into the game. Oh no, all these things broke in the next patch. Well, don't worry, because this is mostly about bug fixing anyways.
Landing gear up. Quantum travel complete.
Where the hell is this mission? Where's the wreck? It's on the ground? Okay.
Quantum travel complete.
I guess it's not on the ground. Looks like it's on the ground. It's megameters though, so it's probably just on the other side of the planet. Let's find an OM. There's your marker.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna go the opposite direction. I don't trust that one. It's too close to the ground. point being, it would take the that's not good. Where did he go? All right, we'll put some stuff into first off. Drop this down to that. Some here.
Weapon systems on.
I'll have to fight in this thing, but I might have to. He's gonna come after me here in a moment.
Landing gear down.
It seems weird that CIG seems to be focused on content so much. I think it's because they're probably trying to engage and maintain. Their staff there, and they're like, they don't have to fix these problems. And it's like they're gonna have to learn how to fix these problems anyways, unless you're gonna plan on firing them the second you hit 1.0. And I don't think they will, because they still have things they gotta produce after 1.0. Like 1.0 is not just we're done. Like they're gonna have to keep working on the game. Nah, that's a little bit too sim in my opinion.
Shields on. Shields off. Quantum travel engaged. Landing gear up. Quantum travel complete.
Oh, this is Brio's that I have to go to. All Squadron also has an influence. This new content feels very squadron coded. Siege of Orison could be a single player story. That's probably, do what you know rather than do what you want.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete.
It's off. Ludlow. Do you think they achieved what they want to do with 4.9 by moving stuff, most of the stuff in 4.10? No. I think what they did in 4.9 was they were their hope was to try to fix some things in the game that would give them some psychological boosts to the player community and to help them learn how to go through and fix bugs and maintain the game as it's going forward. And I think they did some of that. Like, the scanning changes they made got a lot of attention.
Quantum travel complete.
Broken patch. You can't say CHE doesn't have humor. What you know rather than what you want? Yeah. People understandably only really give a fuck about 1.0 because of CIG holding themselves accountable to an actual fucking goal. Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about how Levski is a better performance. Really what they did is they took people off of what they were working on and they were like, all right, you're gonna have to focus on trying to improve this patch in any way you can. And so to a degree, I think they achieved what they wanted to, but I don't think it's nearly enough for them that they probably wanted to do more.
Shields on.
They probably will do more. We'll see if they can keep this up though. Because it's what they got was a really cheap, easy win. And they need to be doing a little bit more than cheap, easy wins. Wow, look at those streaks. Wonderful. Feel like I'm in a 90s vaporwave music video. A 9 Inch Nails video in the 90s.
Engines on. Engines off.
Mexico filter. Again, there's another issue because if they focus more on resources and fixing stuff, I'm sure they will delay stuff. I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. That doesn't really matter. God, I still do it. What I do, especially on the freelancer, is you go onto the ramp and you look down, wait for the ramp to pop back up if it's cutting through the terrain, because if it doesn't pop back up, it means that the ground isn't really there, and you're gonna fall through it. That's 2.0 or early 3.0 shit right there. What up, my dustas? You're barbecuing her, huh? Okay. Just so you know, only he can say that. Yes, only I can say that. This is our word, okay? This leads to an interesting concept. Of course, the Dead Saints would be working with the Dusters. Of course, Ticia Pacheco has connections with the Dusters. She worked in security around Stanton for so long that she definitely would have known who the Dusters are, because, you know, Dusters are not just criminals, they're just sort of like a tribe that lives in Stanton. So her connections with the Dusters would mean that she could, especially now that she's more criminal, she can work underneath or around the law, because she knows that the Dusters don't trust the fucking popo. They do not trust the authorities. Listen, Our Lady of the Dead Saints only helps the best people. See, she's getting designer, upcycled medical enhancements, medical supplements to the poorest of the poor. See, just giving to the poor Dusters. She got the short stick in life. You ready to go, Emoto?
Engines on. Launch sequence complete. Landing gear up.
I mean, those Dusters need to pick me up. Yeah, I do too. I always turn my engines off when I land, because I don't want my ships blowing away like a fucking balloon. That'll come back. Mark my words, it'll come back.
Shield off.
Well, if you turn your engines off, it'll do X eyes. It's doing hard eyes right now because we're leaving, I guess, because we're going at the top speeds. Wasn't it like 3.3 or something? If your engines weren't on during the storm, your ship could blow away. If they were on, it could blow away. If they were off, it could still blow away, but it wouldn't be carried off into the wind. It would simply be dragged around the ground. So you could actually chase it down and get it and grab it. But we couldn't see the storms because they didn't have any particle effects that would indicate the storms were coming. All right. Still got an hour. Oh shit. It's a little mercenary. I guess I gotta work my way up with her now. I'm in neutral standing as a trainee. I need to do a couple more before I get those long haul missions again. Now, in a perfect world, CIG, I should also have to scan for this slam, but we need a better system set up. God, look at all those physics objects.
Engines off. Engines on.
Go quickly before they spawn in. Come on, let's go. I'm glad they're adding these back in, though. These are old 2.0 missions that were transferred to 3.0. They still got some funky stuff like that. Like, it doesn't render in. Need FPS scanning to help find time. Weeping Cove. I'm going to ArtCorp after this. It'll probably be...
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete.
Well, the Gundo, I think what they need to do is they need to actually make multi-stage investigation missions like Gundo, but you're never going to be able to do multi-stage missions with full voice acting the way that they've been doing it. They'll have to add, but they do have, like, tablets now.
Quantum travel complete.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But the thing that a lot of people liked about Gundo was that Gundo was also had full voice acting. I don't think you're going to have full voice acting with those investigation missions. But they've been working off and on investigation missions for like years now because they saw how much people like Gundo. They're like, well, how can we do this more procedurally? And the answer is you're going to have to write a lot of different branching stories. It's possible to do, but you're going to have some that's going to have some overlap. You have to randomize the names and randomize the professions. You got to make it, basically take Clue and turn it into a mission template.
You can take away my spaceship.
Spaceship.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No computers.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
I recognize this place.
Shifty Streaming just resubscribed for 40 months. 40
Thanks for-
months already.
Yeah, that's insane, brother. 40 months of support. Thank you. You're very important public, very precipice, very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers and chat. Y'all shots and cheers. It's raining here too. What was Gundo? Gundo Kovalex. It was a space station that was supposed to be like a freight shipping hub in Crusader. It was over, I want to say, Yella. You would get a mission. Hey, there's a widow who is trying to get her insurance to pay out, but Kovalex is refusing to do so because they're blaming this person for the accident that killed that they died in. I need you to go to the station and investigate what actually caused this accident, and if you can, help get my my client closure at the very least. If not, get her money back that she's owed. Love this place. This is a great island, by the way. This is an island. Oh, it's just wind. Okay, not rain. It'd be cool here, though. Yeah, and there were different states, because you would unlock audio logs, and each audio log would have a different kind of part of the story that it was telling. And if you decided to just turn in at any point, you could get money, but it would get different, like, oh, okay, well, I guess he did cause it. But if you went the full way and unlocked the full investigation, you learned that, like, one of the other employees was smuggling.
Engines on. Launch sequence complete.
Was smuggling, like, illegal items through Kovalex. And one of those illegal items was the one that exploded and, like, killed everyone. Yeah, Darnell was the one who was blamed for it. But Darnell was sort of had a bad reputation because he had a bad safety record and he was extremely depressed. So he was easy to finger as the culprit. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the station and get food and drink. Forgot to grab it. But I'm only at 59. I'm still good. It was, and it was a very interesting mission because the idea behind it was sort of like a test for what kind of missions they could do with their 1.0 at the time. They're gonna do with 1.0. But so because like there were going to be two types of missions. There were going to be fully dynamic procedural missions, and then there were going to be handcrafted missions. And those handcrafted missions would take place at specific spots, and you would work for specific mission givers to do that. So like the person who gave you the mission to investigate for the widow, that person was going to be a mission giver that was giving you multiple investigation missions. The idea was that they're going to give you some other, like, hey, go find this random body and recover it, or this random item and recover it for me because we need to figure out what went on. And as you got as you completed those various missions and got different reputation, once you reached reputation marks, you would have different mainstay missions with each mission giver, so that you would have like story elements with each mission giver. And then at the end of each loop, they would send you to another mission giver, so that you would basically be able to chain the mission giver missions together to complete all of the different mission giver stories. Yeah, it's called the PI Wanted mission for Star Citizen.
Landing gear up.
See if I get any more missions from them. still the same. Am I still at a low rep with him? Yeah, still neutral. I need to get up to that junior contractor. And I think I can probably get the rookie missions. Probably one more mission and I'll be good. Headhunters.
Quantum travel engaged.
It was fun, but it was one mission, you know? It wasn't like a huge chain. It was just an interesting hour-long mission.
Quantum travel engaged.
Oh yeah, the price of freedom. Now that we've got the new like sort of board caterpillar missions back, we need to get the price of freedom back.
Contact received.
Okay, fuck me.
Shield on.
I think they're supposed to attack, but they're not. I always call this ultra toxin, but it's Altrusia toxin. It's a component in Widow. Gunnet was a demonstration of what they could do. It raised expectations. It's a good example of like what Squadron 42 is, because there are missions like that in Squadron 42. So like, they can do missions, they can do good stories. Like, it's definitely possible for them to do these things. The issue is less can they do these missions and more can they fix them, keep them updated, and continue to build more of them. This looks like Slam. Here's my cockpit at negative 63 degrees Celsius. Fill up, damn you. Okay. This seems to be working. What I'm doing is I'm filling in the temperature and the atmosphere from the living spaces into the cockpit. I think this is working. Nope.
Contact received. Shields off. Quantum travel engaged.
You know what I miss? The abandoned outposts.
Quantum travel complete.
They built an entire like thing where they had abandoned outposts that had been blown in and like were like ruined, and you would go drop off random shit at those outposts for missions,
Engaged.
or pick up random shit from those outposts. I feel like those would be cool things. He literally has Ricola literally has a like a cryopod in his like gallery that says T Bannister on it.
Quantum travel complete.
I always find it very funny that like CIG managed to because of just bugs piss off and make people hate an entire species in their game because of bugs that they caused. You mentioned Banu and people have a visceral reaction being like, I hate the Banu. Like they blamed the bugs, they blamed the Banu for bugs. God, I wish I had the lamp right now. This thing.
Landing gear down.
Lights aren't working.
Shield on. Landing gear up.
Who's on tonight? Citizen DZ and HC Vertigo. It's gonna be long with Vertigo. I mean, the discussion itself is gonna be pretty long anyways, because the concept of the discussion is Sandbox versus theme park gameplay. And the real discussion is, you know, Star Citizen needs a mixture of both. Anyone who says otherwise is crazy. The question is more, how much should it have, and what should CIG be focusing on in the short term? Okay, let's go with contracts. Let's see if we've got unverified, delivery, pick up and drop off. Let's see my reputation. Dead Saints. It's not really going up. Maybe if I log out and log back in, it'll go up. So let's go get some food, and then oh, there's probably food here, isn't there? Where is the store? Did I pass by it? Usually a store in these places. That's just, where's your store? I wish to buy your succulent meats. Here it is. Yeah. Where all the light stuff is. Here it is. What's up, bro? Where's the... Oh shit, I got ore here. There we go. Scrap. There's a commodity shop. Come on, there's always like a bar or something like that around here. First role play, you know it. I just wanted to see if I can get food here. Then I have to travel all the way back to the station. Guess let's travel all the way back to the station. Oh man, I barely landed properly. You can put a theme park in a sandbox easier than you can put a sandbox in a theme park. That is true. Good way of putting it. I'm going to steal that. Thank you, Parker.
Engines on. Launch sequence complete.
All right. I know sometimes reputations is slow to bounce back. You should sometimes have to like leave and then come back or wait a couple of hours, and sometimes reputation will update afterwards. Or I could just be stuck. I'm trying to get back so I can do those interplanetary missions with her, but we'll see. Sandbox requires allowing players to align with the bad guys, and CIG refuses. I don't think that's. I still believe that that's more to do with limitations in terms of systems than it does desire on CIG's part. I do think that, though, that the longer CIG doesn't manage to get those systems in place, the longer that the not just the players but the developers themselves will assume that that's the gameplay plan in the first place, so let's just develop for that. Reputation. The reputation system, which has been in limbo forever. That's what's preventing us from aligning from different factions. Because the reputation system has to not only have positive reputation, but some form of negative reputation, so it locks you out of certain cycles. Now, you're not gonna get PvP in the Siege of Orison. The game is just not in a position where PvP is very fun or engaging. I don't think CIG will ever get PvP to work other than just as a threat. Especially with, like, the massive amounts of desync that are happening. PvP isn't killing games. That's hyperbole. Plenty of games are PvP by nature and do well. Fortnite is a great example. The problem is shoehorning PvP in places that doesn't belong, and also where PvP is not designed to function in the first place. Star Citizen could get PvP to work, but they need to get a lot of other things working before they can get PvP to actually function. I live Reputation in EverQuest. There were whole towns you couldn't go to as a result. You could also make friends with dragons and stuff too. Or I loved, yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing, is they have a kink for choke points. They love choking. CIG is into choking. So, Hun, I know what you're talking about because I actually know the SCL that comes from, and it's always important to understand the context of that. The context was they didn't want to lock players out of locations because of negative reputation, in the sense that it was specifically as it was at the time, where you could have positive reputation with one part of a company and negative reputation with another part of the company, and thus that negative reputation with that part of the company, because you fucked up on a single mission, was preventing you from landing. And they didn't want to lock out the limited gameplay that existed at the time simply because of a bug. They also mentioned that they wanted to make it so it's less granular and more like larger scale. So you wouldn't have like reputation with Crusader security, Crusader shipping, Crusader, refining or whatever. You'd have reputation with Crusader, and you would get that reputation, which would affect a larger thing like the different systems, specifically the guilds, which was the thing they were looking forward to. And they've mentioned since then in monthly reports that they've been working on the reputation system to try to improve reputation overall. And we haven't heard anything since then. As if locking out LZ's locked out gameplay. At the time, it did. That's the problem. Late 3.0 branch was locking you out of gameplay because you only had one system. Since then, they've made it so that it's easier to get more things in more places, and just being locked out of a landing zone wouldn't necessarily prevent you from playing the game to its fullest. Makes me wonder what went wrong with the headhunters and CFP, since those did lock you out at one point. I think the point with those was they wanted to have Pyro be different from Stanton. I think that's also because that statement was made before they had Stanton, or before they had Pyro. So they clearly still wanted to lock out players.
Engines off.
Landing, go with that. I heard that before, but does that mean that we won't have any kind of reputation with big enterprises? We don't know. I do think that if they continue that path, it would break the game. It would make the game the quintessential theme park experience, which is not good, because then CIG will end up having people lose interest and flitter away once 1.0 releases. 1.0 would have a big, 1 month, 2 month boom, and then everyone would leave. And you'd have to have a major content update for players to come back and play, because then you're strapped in a cycle of content updates means gameplay. And if you don't have content updates, then no one cares. Kind of what they have right now, where people will leave once after a major patch is released and not come back until the next major patch. There's also the issue of friends not being able to play together if they're in different factions. That's not an issue. That's a like, I don't know why CIG thinks that's a problem. Oh, but I chose this patch. Cool. Now you've chosen death, So let me show you something that I've noticed recently. Do you notice that the headhunters have a standing and they have a mission segment? Intersect has a standing. Ling Family Hauling has just hauling, not a standing. Not a standing. These are sort of older ones. Just a standing. But the Headhunters, the Dead Saints, Intersect, all of these have standings, and they also have specific, mission setups. And while it's messy here, I just started noticing recently that the standing thing existed. So what I think they're doing is
smart buy. I think you're going to be happy with that.
is they are remove the helmet. All right, this is the one that's bugged. That's my point. Was Rust Rust is an example of how you can retain people by focusing on the systems, and then the content will drag more people back when the new content updates happen, but you'll still retain a large number of people. But my point being with the reputation system is that I think that the reputation system, in terms of the standing, is an indication of where they're going, where you will have standing within each company, which will be a amalgam of your standing with individual parts. So you can still have reputation with those corporations and those large groups, but they'll be more they'll be more about those companies as a whole rather than individual departments. Rust is not an MMO, it's a PvP deathmatch battle arena. It's also a sandbox game. And the fact that all of its loops are completely within the player control in terms of direction of what they want to do allows for Rust to continue to have lots of player agency and also retain players who are interested. So when I mention Rust, and I'm sure people, as Cody Fox is referencing, it's like a lot of people are going, no, Rust is bad. It's like Rust is a good example of how you can make it work. You just have to replace the players you're shooting at with NPCs. And, and still have players you can shoot at. All right, we're good to go. You didn't have an end game, just holding a holding pattern while they desperately try to find an end game that killed it more than PvP. Well, one of the reasons why PvP became a problem is because PvP was the end game. Like, their solution to the problem was, we'll just do PvP in the desert. And the problem with PvP with Dune was that it wasn't fun. It wasn't a very good, fun experience that people enjoyed. So a lot of people complained, were like, we're not going to do PvP. And as a result, they shifted over to PvE, and that also drove a lot of the PvP players away, but it didn't retain any of the PvE players because a lot of those PvE players were like, nah, we're done. You had a chance, and I don't want to play your stupid death game anymore. What I mean, though, is that Rust itself built a game off of the systems. The Sandbox. Build bases. Upgrade, take upgrade paths so you unlock new weapons and equipment. In order to do those upgrades, you need to get specific resources. So you need to constantly go out and farm resources, and you risk getting attacked while doing so. And a lot of those resources need to be processed at locations which are central hubs for player interaction or player combat. Star Citizen could be the same. They already started that process. It seems like they've just sort of stopped in the process. They have crafting. Crafting in the blueprint system is the best thing that CIG has added since 4.0. That is not even a controversial take. Crafting is the best thing that CIG has added since 4.0. Hands down. It creates impetus for players to go play missions they wouldn't normally play. It creates requires players to go out and get resources or trade for resources. It requires cooperation between players to get things. allows players to specialize in specific gear to produce, and then they can work with other players to get it. I have more interactions with other orgs because of people being like, hey, we've built these things. Like my quantum drive and my max is Volus. Volus produced that X1 for me, and it's a really high grade X1. But they still miss things. Player trading in the game doesn't exist. You still have to go to do all of that. You either have to risk talking to people in person, or you have to go off to a separate site to get it done. Shouldn't happen. They don't have player like looking for group stuff and being able to pick up random groups and to work together to do things. They lack more like larger construction and like crafting gameplay. The biggest difference in Star Citizen is that CIG will the control the authority rather than the players, which is what will allow for some structure rather than total mayhem. Exactly. Yeah, they needed, if they made things like blueprints available that weren't account locked, so you could like find blueprints and apply them to your character. If they made it so that certain missions, those non-sandbox dungeon and raid missions, at the end of those, you got high value resources and high value items, which were similar to crafted items. You could then scrap and use the resources from those scrapped items to produce other items if you wanted to. A limit on how many BPs a player can unlock to prevent. Well, I mean, they can just go to tier 2. They can just go to the higher tiers of crafting, because that's really what's going to separate the boys from the men, as it were. Because right now we're all crafting like higher level stuff based off of the quality, but in the future you can take the same quality materials, maybe a little bit more materials than right now per item, and create a significantly better version of that item. But in order to reach that tier 2, you have to grind like a motherfucker in the tier 1 to get that up there, so that you are forced to specialize. Because you can be a master of all, jack of all trades, master of none, which is better than being a master of one. But then it won't help you in terms of like specialization to improve the Star Wars Galaxy Spark. That's what it is. I'm the best shield gen crafter in the sector won't happen because there's no classes and everyone can basically do everything themselves. And the gate for best and the gate for the best in slot is just a patience and mine the best quality resource. Until you have tiers. That's the point. Tiers requires you to focus on shields and to focus on and like do other things in order to unlock that tier 2 and tier 3, and then with ships 4 and 5. And once you have those tiers, the next thing that CIG desperately needs to kind of side grade with that is allow for experimentation, so that players can use different combinations of different resources to get specific bonuses. Yeah, but everyone will be able to just upgrade the BPs as well, given enough time. Again, same thing. But it requires times and resources. You won't be able to, like, no one will be able to be, like, a master at everything. You're never going to be the best shield maker in the universe, but you can be a good high-tier shield maker because not everyone wants to make shields. Yeah, we also need degradation. That's my point, GQ, is that they started the path of making the game more sandbox by introducing crafting, and then they just stopped. Like, the first half this year was crafting, and then like June was like, we're done. No new blueprints, like new blueprints-ish, but like only behind these specific things and that kind of stuff. Like 4.9 and 4.10 have no crafting purpose. It's like nothing new for crafting. There's no changes to crafting. It's just the same thing. Not really sure we do need degradation. We need degradation because if I can make a shield generator that is the top class in everything and sell it to you and you just have it forever, then there's no one will ever come back to me. Once I've sold everyone in the verse my best shields, then no one will ever come back. You need degradation. It's just not a 4 hits with a stick and it breaks degradation. It is good, and as you use it, it degrades, and you can repair it, but each repairs slowly reduces its quality until you reach a certain point where it's like, I gotta replace it. It still gives you the good bonus points, but its hit points are lower. That would also be a good thing, is to have limited blueprints, so that in order to for high tiers, but the problem is you still want the grind. It's like the company that made light bulbs that lasted 100 years. They went out of business. But my point is the system they have for crafting, in terms of their plans, work. They will work for a long-term game. There are some small tweaks here and there that you could make to them, but the basic idea is there. It's a solid idea. They just don't give a shit. Like, they're just at the point where it's just like, whatever, time to do more theme parks. And it's like, I mean, I'm excited for Siege of Orison to come back, but it's just a test for instancing, right? I'd like an alternative where a master craftsman could reset degradation with resources as if they were making a new thing. I mean, that could also be an engineering thing where you can start using blueprints for engineering purposes. Where like a player who has can unlock like engineering blueprints, which are basically higher grade skill abilities. I also think that you could easily do a limitation where you're only allowed to learn 20 blueprints. Once you start the path of 20 blueprints, you are locked into those 20 blueprints forever. But you can always reset those blueprints and get a different blueprint. Skill abilities is the industry term. Theme park crafting to get around degradation due to the constant addition of new items, which if you look at on the ongoing MMO, that is the method they use to keep crafting gameplay or some craft throwaway item for some other reward. I hope they'll have some update for Genesis in 4.11 in September. That My name is Paul, Berserker01 Batman Show, your humble host and space bartender here. Mr. Bub. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. We're going to be talking with Vertigo himself and Citizen Deedsy about what we've been talking about here all stream, which is Sandbox versus Theme Park. How much Sandbox versus Theme Park should there be for a game like Star Citizen? And what should CIG be focusing on? We'll also have to kind of define some aspects of that because I think a lot of people don't really understand what sandboxes and Themebox are. So we'll have to kind of like work through to kind of come up with a unified definition as a cast, so we can continue to talk about that going forward. That's a weird thing was. Yeah, they aren't to the point where they can sustain those sorts of limits. Limits on BPs, degradation, that sort of thing is definitely a tier T4 plus. CIG hasn't gotten the juice to enshittify their game that much and still have a community. Well, I think like if you put limits on like tier 2 crafting, like anyone can craft a tier 1 blueprint, and then that way you can have like certain novelty items which are just tier 1 that you can just go, hey, I can craft this novelty item. But then you have like tier 2 is limited to like 20 or like 30 20 blueprints in tier 2 and like 10 blueprints in tier 1, or tier 1, tier 2, and tier 10 blueprints in tier 3. And then with ships it's like 20, 15, 10, 5, and 1 or something like that. Love every time you and Vertigo are doing a show together. You guys have great banter. We're longtime friends, so it kind of works. All right, chat. I'm going to go use the restroom real quickly. I'm going to call up Vertigo and Deedsy, and we're going to get this started. The actual, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll be transferring over to the Captain's Table YouTube, which I have to set up here in a few moments. And we will be doing, we'll be discussing Sandbox versus Themepark. But make sure you hop over there once we end that. We'll be doing that at the top of the hour. So make a reward ships tier 2 or tier 3 so they're better and still have room for upgrading and crafting and skill. Yeah, I mean, yeah. All right, chat. We're going to be moving over to, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll be moving over to the Captain's Table podcast YouTube here in a couple of minutes. We're going to be moving over and getting started at the top of the hour, so about a minute or two.